Welcome to the Darkest Dungeon mod spotlight, where I will showcase a modded hero and explain their mechanics. Today we will be looking at the Offering, created by Muscarine. The Offering is a poor farmer's daughter selected to be sacrificed to some god. A fickle being chose to play a cruel joke instead, ripping out her heart and giving her another. Now she seeks out pain and suffering to protect others from it. The Offering is primarily a tank, and works best from the front two rows. She protects your party with long-lasting guards for natural durability and self-healing. The Offering comes with a full suite of powerful defensive stats. Her HP is quite above average, just below the leper. Once she upgrades her armor at least once, she comes with built-in protection, starting at 10%, up to 20% protection at maximum armor upgrades. This makes her extra thick. Her dodge and damage are a little below average compared to many other frontliners who have great damage. Her stun resistance and bleed resistance are quite high, and her movement resistance is a little above average, while her speed, her crit, her blight, disease, and debuff resistance are all average, and her trap disarm is also average. The Offering's first attack is Thrill. It is her basic attack that has a decent crit modifier considering her role in the party. The Offering's second skill is Quiet. It can be used against any position on the enemy team. It has a damage modifier of -60%, and it applies a speed and crit debuff. The speed scales from -6 at rank 1, 10 at max rank, and the crit goes from -10% at rank 1 to 22% at max rank. You can put it on certain powerful enemies like swine skivers or a blighted giant to bring their speed way down, as well as eliminating the chance that they're going to inflict a devastating crit on your party. They're still going to hit hard, but at least you can expect what's going to happen to you. The Offering's third attack is Licentious. She must be in the middle two rows to use it, and it moves her forward 1. It has a positive damage mod of 20%, and it marks the Offering for the entire battle. It also debuffs the target by -17% at rank 1, 25% protection at max rank, and it buffs the Offering's movement resist by 70%. It is a good way if the Offering gets pushed back or shuffled to move back to the front and ensure that you don't get moved out of position again. The Offering's fourth ability is Mellow. She can only use it once per battle. It does normal damage. It will pull your target forward 2. It marks her for the entire battle, and it gives her a 10% to 30% protection buff for 6 turns. So when you're doing a longer fight or a boss battle, it's good to lead with Mellow so you can buff up her protection before you start guarding your allies. Speaking of guards, let's look at the next two skills together. Lascivious and Languid. Both of them can only be used from the front row. You target an ally and then transfer the bleed and blight from that ally to yourself. You guard the ally, and then heal yourself for 5 to 9 HP. With Lascivious, you pull the ally forward 1 square. With Languid, you push them back 2. The interesting thing about these skills is that the guard lasts the entire fight, and you can guard more than one target at a time. So given enough time, you can protect your entire party, though you are risking the Offering taking a lot of damage in this way. The only way to cancel the guard is if the offering is stunned, or someone else uses a guard on someone who's already guarded, or the offering itself. And you cannot use these skills on someone who is already guarded by the offering. Otherwise, the skill fails, nothing happens, you get no healing.
Vigor is restored.
The offering's final ability is Tachycardia. She can only use it from the front row on herself, and it cures Blight and Bleed, and it gives her a heal over time of 1 point for 3 rounds, scaling up to a maximum of 4 points for 4 rounds. It also gives her a stress heal of 3 points at rank 1 up to 7 points at max rank. It also tries to stun the offering with a rate of 110% up to 150%. With her natural stun resist, this leads to about a 50% chance of stunning herself every time you use it. But sometimes that's not such a bad thing, because as I said, stuns are the only way you can drop the guards from Languid Lascivious. So if you're taking too much damage, you can use Tachycardia to drop the guards and heal yourself at the same time. Plus, if you are stunning yourself, then other heroes such as the Tusk with Mastodon or the Arbalist with Rallying Flare can remove that stun so you don't lose the turn with the offering anyway. The offering has a collection of camping skills to buff up her own protection and the protection of her party. Her first camping skill is Unburden. For just 1 time point, she can increase her debuff resist by 75%. Usually you don't need a lot of debuff resistance, but since it only costs 1, sometimes you might be able to squeeze this camping skill into a different set of camping skills, just because you have 1 point lying around. So it's not too bad. Her second camping skill is Sultry. For 2 time points, she can give 1 companion 30% bleed resistance and 33% max HP. It's a good way to make them a lot more survivable. You can especially combine this with the Fawn, who has low max HP and low bleed resistance, and make it less likely for her to bleed out. You can use this up to 3 times for, once for each party member. Her third camping skill is Muse. For 4 time points, she buffs up her own protection by 10% and everyone else's protection by 20%. So it's just a great skill for reducing the amount of damage your party takes. Unscathed is only 1 point, and it removes blight, bleed, and disease from the offering. Sometimes you finish up a tough fight and you have to camp, and the offering has collected a bunch of blight and bleed from all the guards she had on people, and Unscathed can help get rid of those. Plus, free disease removal is never a bad thing. The offering is non-religious, so she can work just fine with the Abomination. She also benefits from the House of the Yellow Hand District, which grants 2% critical hit chance and 5% scouting chance. Some combinations of skills that I like using are Thrill, Quiet, Licentious, and Mellow. You don't want to focus on her guards. Mellow can pull targets out of position while buffing up your protection. And Thrill and Licentious allow you to do heavy damage. And you still have Quiet in order to debuff dangerous targets. Other options include taking Tachycardia and one of either Lascivious or Languid, depending on what your team needs. And then 2 of the other 4 skills. Either Mellow or Thrill would be what I would probably take, and just stay in the front row, pulling people out of position and then attacking them. Or you can focus on Licentious and Thrill if you want to start in the second row perhaps, and lead with damage. So you should pick your Languid and Lascivious depending on what the rest of your party has. You could push a Highwayman back in order to use Duelist Advance again, or you can push a Grave Robber back to use Lunge. There are a lot of different options you can use, and especially with modded classes like the Fawn. In conclusion, the Offering is a great addition to any team that needs extra protection. She can guard more and more party members while healing herself back up. I hope that she has captured your heart like she has captured mine.